Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped, something.
I wasn't expecting that either.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny, I haven't seen that before.
And it feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things, of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light, when you hit that first joint, in the morning, and you.
I actually feel a lot more awake.
Anything that's been bugging you? Anything that's been bringing up any strong emotions?
Yeah, man. So I think for me, the biggest thing that elicits an extremely strong response lately is, what I'll refer to as fall allyship. I think for people of color or people of, minimized subgroups, that fall allyship doesn't really help. I think for me, and again, it may be my age group, but, I think the friends that I have that don't look like me, that aren't from where I'm from, those relationships developed very organic. There was no need for an HR department. There was no need for, you trying to rally the troops up to look great in your minivan and, be able to wear a cool shirt, letting somebody know that you're my friend, my mother's friend, or my daughter's friend. Personally, I think in some cases, right, I think what that leads us to is a place where, the allyship removes the ability to really develop true friendships and not even maybe even friendships, but acquaintances when, they develop in the workplace or in university, where it develops up very naturally because you guys are getting to know each other. You're finding things out that you might not have known, which would be, again, no different than two people that look exactly alike from different socioeconomic brackets. They're going to have had different experiences. And so I think for me that elicits very strong feelings because I'm not necessarily sure that's taking us where we really want to go.
Yeah. All right. That's great. That's a fine place to start. And I think I understand what you're saying about, the kind of the show of it all and how it can affect the reality. The more we're putting on a show, the less we can really connect and, like you were saying, build organic relationships.
And I think the way you worded that is absolutely perfect. And, some people will say, hey, that's insulting, Jarvis, for you to say it's a show, but that's really what it is. I get to wear my Birks and hang out and drink IPAs and do all of this cool stuff. And I've got a friend from Indonesia or Malaysia or whatever. But at the end of the day, I've got a $3,000 MacBook and, I'm driving a $170,000 Tesla, but I understand I'm going to fight the power. Well, what have you really done?
Yeah.
Well, how have you stepped forward and made some change? Because I'm not asking anyone to give up what they've worked extremely hard for, but what I'm saying is make those things genuine.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So this will be interesting because a lot of times, I think what you're talking about is it's an issue outside of you. It's a thing that's going on in the world, and where these conversations tend to go is obviously kind of what's inside of you. So this will be interesting to see how it plays out, getting there. But we'll try it and see what happens. So when you're thinking about that stuff and you have that extreme response, where in or around your body do you feel that feeling or that sensation?
I think for me, it brings back to the same feeling I have when I've had a long, stressful week. It ties up in my shoulders and my neck, just that, okay, I've been gritting my teeth, kind of biting on this. It brings that tension into my shoulders and neck for the lack of, genuine connection.
Yeah. Okay. And so again, the goal in IFS is we're going to kind of look at that sensation. We're going to call it a part. A part of you feels that way. And then we're going to try to kind of turn towards it and see if we can to get to know it, and see how you can kind of work with that energy as best as you can. Again, without having to go too deep into ancient wounds or anything like that. We're just going to look at that kind of initial reaction. So can you see yourself kind of turning towards that tension and kind of turning towards it, turning inwards, and see if you can flesh out any more definition about it. And some people even go as far as to kind of personify it and kind of see it as, oh, it looks like this character or something. And you don't need to make anything up, but just kind of try to see yourself in the room with it if you can.
Absolutely. And I think, let me just center myself on this. I don't want to say it hurtfully, but I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think for me, it's in these hip places where everybody's friend, and the truth is, not everybody is everybody's friend, man. I mean, that's natural. I have people I grew up with on a daily basis that didn't like me then, don't like me now.
Right.
And, it has nothing to do with anything other than that's kind of the law of the land, right?
Right.
There were two human beings that just realized they never really liked each other. And I think for me, that's what it looks like, and it just sounds bad, but just a bunch of people sitting around drinking, their organic beer, and a bunch of guys playing, or guys and ladies playing flag football together and having these conversations about how bad this type of person is that doesn't agree with, their fall liberalism. And I just, those are the types of embodiments I see. Okay. Those are the type of embodiments I feel like are harmful.
Yeah, I feel you. And so again, with the sensation that it brings up in you, can you look at that part in yourself that has that response, that stress, that tension in the shoulders, that gritting the teeth? Try to look at that part in you and how it reacts. And we're not saying it's right or wrong or anything. We're just going to try to see what else it has to say to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, feeling that tension, I just realized that it pulled my shoulders forward. But also, I noticed this time that there was a tightness, a difference in the way I was breathing and in my chest. And it makes me tense and probably more jaded in an interaction.
Yeah. And so, how would you say that you feel towards that tension, towards that feeling? When you have that feeling, how do you feel towards it?
I feel frustrated that it's even there. I feel frustrated that I allow my body to have that happen to it.
Yeah. Okay. So, in the spirit of calling things parts, see if you can look at the frustration as if it's a part. So part of you's tense, and then part of you's frustrated about being tense, and probably got 10 other parts that have something to say. But see if you can look at that frustrated part and just in your mind, see if you can ask it to give us some space so that we can get to know the tense part just in this conversation and just see how it reacts.
Okay. So my chest opened back up and my breathing normalized. I will say there's still a little tension in my neck, but my shoulders relaxed.
Great. So it sounds like you were able to get a little space from that frustrated part.
Absolutely.
So the tension that remains, and again, it's all valid, it's all welcome. The tension that's there and that you experience when you think about this whole issue. See if you can direct a question to that tension. See if you can ask it what it wants you to know. What does that tension want you to know? What does it want you to know about it? And just wait for the answer.
So the answer I'm getting is that it's manifesting itself because of the worries I have for the way this looks for my children.
Very interesting. That's really interesting for that to come up. Okay. Is that something that resonates with you? I mean, you get that?
Maybe I didn't think beforehand it was something that played as big of a role, but in kind of feeling that answer come to the forefront, I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
Knowing that, and I think, in my opinion, I think anyone wants a better world for the people they bring onto the planet.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let it know that you hear it loud and clear, and even if you do feel any kind of appreciation, see if you can just show it some appreciation for looking out for that. It's got your children's interest in heart, or in its intention. Just see if you can show it some appreciation for that. And then try asking it, what is it afraid will happen if it doesn't get your attention that way? If this gritting the teeth, if this tension doesn't come up, and maybe it's already given you an answer. But yeah, that's kind of the next question is what is it afraid will happen? You don't have to share that answer with me if it's too personal.
No, I think, and it came fast actually, is that it worries that if it doesn't identify itself and manifest itself that way, that I won't be open and honest with people who I do feel like need to have it addressed that, hey, you're not being genuine, which I think leads to good conversation. I jokingly like to think of myself as the king of tough conversations, but modern day open, loving, tough conversations tend to degenerate into arguments. And I think sometimes it worries that I won't do that to avoid that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's correct me if I'm wrong. So it's saying that you value these conversations and you call them tough, but you also call them loving. And so you have this thing that you can and like to do with people, which is have these connections, these loving, healing connections. And what it's afraid of is getting in the way of that, or not allowing. Yeah, if it doesn't keep you on guard, then you won't be able to have those.
Absolutely. That is it, spot on. That brings it right to the front of exactly what it's wanting and making sure it doesn't interfere with.
Yeah. So again, just do what you can to show it some compassion, so show it some appreciation for. I mean, that's a tough job, right? Like it's a really complex world that we're navigating, and you have this part that's gotta look out for who is it safe to have certain conversations with. I have another question for it, which is, if you could change that, if you could heal that or change that, so that you could have those conversations without any fear of rejection or humiliation or being hurt or being, or whatever, hurting the other person even. If you could change that, what would this energy, what would this tension rather do? How would it like to use its energy inside of you?
It would like to help me focus more on having positive energy, to do more things related to writing, and to focus more on building my relationships with my yoga students.
Yeah. So it has it has an intensity that can be used for good in focusing. Yeah. Ask this part how old it thinks you are, and just wait for the answer.
Okay. The part says it didn't give me an answer on how old it thinks I am. It told me how old I felt. It says I feel like I'm 30.
Yeah. Okay. And is that not your real age?
No, not at all.
So go ahead and update it, and just let it know what year it is. Let it know your real age, and all the things that might come along with that. The difference between who you were at 30 and who you are now. Usually when it gives an age like that, it's pointing to, something that might have been going on when you were 30, that suddenly you had to develop this tension in order to, again, navigate these conversations. Maybe this wasn't an issue when in your 20s, the way you grew up. This might not have existed. Didn't have to be something you looked out for. And so this showed up at that time. Just a theory.
And that's what the tension is pointing to, is that it developed, and I didn't realize this until now when I was in grad school. And I guess, for lack of a better term, it's terming it the rise of this type of behavior is when I guess I noticed it. Maybe it was before that it was developing, but that's when I noticed it.
Yeah. It had to kick into high gear around that time. Probably having all kinds of stress related to grad school and however else your world was changing, and maybe to do with this particular issue. So again, just kind of update it, and anything you can do to just show it some compassion, and appreciation for looking out for you, even if you don't love the way it makes you feel. But you can see that it would like to help you focus on those other things: your writing, your yoga students. The last question that I'll suggest is to ask it, what does it need from you in the future?
It needs me to remain open and still be willing to have tough conversations without fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Easier said than done, huh?
I wasn't expecting that either.
Yeah.
This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
There, like I said, that's kind of all the questions that I was going to suggest. But usually in this work, once people have done this, so this part is called a protector. So it's protecting something that was either overwhelmed or injured or something, unpleasant. And so then the kind of deeper level is to go and examine, well, what really is this? What is being protected? What was hurt? What was exiled is the word they use in IFS. And to come to get to know that other part, which is like, yeah, how can I be open without the fear, and to really kind of get to know where that fear stems from. So we won't go there in this conversation, but happy to do it in another conversation. And that's what the process looks like.
I like that. It's been pretty eye-opening. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's different, isn't it?
It's not what I expected, I'll be honest.
Yeah. It's incredible that you can just directly ask questions of yourself, of your own parts, and get answers that are surprising to you.
Very, actually.
Yeah. Thanks again for your time. Do you have any questions for me, or any more you want to share about what's going on? How you feeling?
No, man, and I gotta tell you, this is just the weirdest feeling from this. Not weird in a bad way, but like, it's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
Yeah. Well, it's really closely aligned to meditation. In meditation, with mindfulness, we hear the voices. We hear these parts, but this is working with them. This is, okay, now that I've been mindful of this part of me, because you've been mindful of the tension before, but this is like, okay, what do I say to it? Well, how do I work with it? And the big paradigm shift I think that this process brings about is to say, that's a part. that's almost like a person living in me. And in a way, it's got its own age, it's got its own motivations, it's got its own fears. And so you can treat it and talk to it like a person, which, takes that meditation further. And the recommendation is to kind of to check in. You already do your meditation or your exercises. I know that you're doing a lot every day, but you could add this kind of 1 minute check-in where you're going back to this tense part and saying, are we good? What else do you need? And what else do you have to say? And sometimes that just takes a minute,
Okay, perfect, James. Thank you so much, man. I feel like I should thank you for letting me participate. I'm always open to new eye-opening things, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been really awesome talking with you today, and I will be in touch, and I'll reach out to you. I'll send you this, and I'll invite you back.
And I'll be looking for it.
Cool. All right, have a wonderful day, man. Take care.
You too, brother. Have an amazing weekend.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Zikri, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows, that might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube. And they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.